Heavy metal rock.
Global mind.
I'm Robert Cavuto, and today on My Global Mind, we're speaking with Michael Sweet of Stryper for their band's upcoming new album due out this fall. Thank you for taking the time, Michael. It's always a pleasure to speak with you. Thank you.
Thank you, Eddie. Thanks so much for always supporting and taking the time to talk to me. And as I said before you started recording, it always blows my mind that people want to talk to us. So I'm humbled and very appreciative.
No, great. Now, you were mentioning before we recorded that you've been having eye troubles, of course, everybody knows, but you posted a crazy snapshot of yourself saying that you had to go in to have oil drained out of your eye.
Right.
Did that hurt?
Oh, yeah. Well, it's funny because when you think of eye surgery, it certainly doesn't seem like anything major, right? And it certainly won't get the attention of other surgeries, open heart, bypass surgery, brain surgery, all this kind of stuff, which is all terrible. But I'm going to tell you right now that the eye surgeries that I've been through, this is my third one. Gosh, either I'm a big baby or they were terrible. Because it just, I have really sensitive eyes anyway. Yeah. And that would be the last thing I would ever want to have to deal with in my life is eye issues regarding surgery. So what I had to have done this third time, this was my third surgery, was they put oil in my eye for 6 months to hold my retina in place.
Oh, God.
And when they put that oil in 6 months ago in January, they had to remove my lens because I developed a cataract. Oh. So they took my lens out. So I was dealing with that for 6 months, and I got used to that. And then I had to have the oil removed because if you leave it in too long, you develop glaucoma, which can lead to blindness, blah, blah, blah. So it's very complicated. And they removed the oil, flushed the oil out. That was one incision. And then they put a new lens in. That was another incision in my iris. And my eye is pretty beat up right now.
Tell me you were asleep when they did that.
Well, the first time I was asleep, the second time I did local. And the reason why I did local the second time is I had to because I had a cold.
Oh.
So I had no choice. This time around, the doctor said that this procedure isn't as bad. So I figured, I'll do local again. I will never, ever do local again.
Oh, Michael, that's terrible. I'm so sorry. I'm right up there with you. The eye is probably one of the least places I want anybody poking anything around in.
Yeah. Your eyes are so sensitive anyway, you get a speck of sand in your eye and it's like, it's terrible. But at the same time, I've learned so much about the eyes. They're one of the most resilient organs that we have in terms of healing and bouncing back. I wouldn't think so because of what I've been through, but I'm just praying that this was the last surgery. I can put it behind me, that my vision will improve, and I can just look back on this as part of the past very soon.
Good. I hope so, Michael. Prayers are with you, man.
Yes, I appreciate it.
So you have a new album coming out. I was told you're still making some adjustments to it. Do you have a sense of when it's going to be released?
It's interesting. We're not making any adjustments to it. It's been mixed and mastered and turned in for quite a while. The only thing that we have to do, we have to make music videos for the album. We have not done that yet. And the photos we had to wait on. We just got those. So that took a little while. But the album itself, it's been done for a while.
Okay.
I'm super excited about it because, we made that album with a few obstacles to get over and get through. And we were able to do so. And I think when I listen to the album in my car with headphones or what have you, I really believe that it's certainly up there on the list of one of our best albums. I think it's our best album. I love how it sounds. I love the sonic quality, how everything turned out, and the performances. It's got a certain energy to it that excites me. So I can't wait for the rest of the world to hear the whole album, and that's coming very soon. October is when it will come out. I don't know the exact release date, but it's coming out for sure in October. Music video coming out in August for Transgressor. End of August. That's going to blow people's minds, I think.
Do you have a working title?
We have a title.
Okay, can't say it though, right?
I think it's already out there for everybody. So it's I'm not giving anything away too early. The title of the album is called The Final Battle.
Cool.
And we're getting those questions from people saying, what does that mean? Is this the end for the band? And my answer to that is, I have no idea. I don't think so.
Yeah.
But, what we were referring to being the final battle is, of course, what everyone knows biblically, the Battle of Armageddon. Mm-hmm. We were referring to that. But, I mean, in terms of the final album from Stryper, I hope not.
Oh, good. Yeah, I hope not, too. I enjoy seeing you and speaking with you about it. I only heard 2 of the songs from YouTube. And See No Evil, Hear No Evil, and Rise to the Call. They were really great, fast tempo, heavy songs. What's the rest of the album like? Is it kind of go in that vein?
Well, I look back on the last album, Even the Devil Believes, and I realized that we came out with the best metal track on the album, which is Blood from Above. I think everyone would agree that's probably the best metal track on the album. This time around, we decided to wait and release the best metal track with the music video.
Okay.
So Rise to the Call is a really good track and people seem to love it. But I think Transgressor, the song Transgressor is superior. I really believe that.
Wow.
And we kind of saved the best for last, and we're super excited about it. The rest of the album, it's a very eclectic album. There's the heavy side, there's the mid-tempo hard rock metal side, and then there's also a little bit of a lighter side. When I say lighter, I don't mean syrupy or fluffy. I just mean there is a ballad that's a guitar rock ballad, and there is a few songs that are a little more pop metal. Have a little more pop metal sense to those.
No, I really like the 2 I heard. I was like, wow, that's a great tease for what hopefully the rest of the album is going to be like, or equally as good, right? Or better.
For sure. And that's what I can't wait for. I think the best is yet to come. And when people hear it and hear the album in its entirety, I think they'll agree. Yeah. And they'll say, man, wow, Transgressor, there's a song called Same Old Story that's super powerful lyrically and musically. And the ballad, I think, is one of the best ballads we've ever done. It's called Near, and it's really, really cool.
Okay, I can't wait to hear the whole thing. I thought your guitar playing, Oz too, killer guitar and great tone. I thought that was the first thing that hit me when I was listening to the 2 songs. In your career, is there a favorite guitar tone or off an album that you really like and embody what Stryper's all about?
Absolutely. I'm a bit, and I think this is common knowledge, I'm a bit obsessed with guitar tone.
Yeah.
And, Stryper's tone is one of those that you either love or you hate.
Yeah.
There's no real middle ground with it. Some people think it's too mid-range, half-cocked, wah sounding. And that's kind of the whole point. I'm big fans of Michael Schenker's guitar tone. Mm-hmm. He's always done that half-cocked wah kind of. He's had that kind of tone. I'm a big fan of the Boston guitar tone.
Yeah, that's amazing.
It has a little bit of that compressed mid-range kind of thing. And I kind of mix those sounds in with, when I was on my quest for the ultimate tone back when I was a teenager, 15, 16, 17 years old, I started going to pawn shops and trying out different amps. And I stumbled upon a Lab series, L5, and then eventually an L11. And I realized that one of my favorite guitar players and bands of all time used it, which is Ronnie Montrose. And that made me want to use it all the more. So I bought one, brought it home. And what I did was I had a Marshall, and there was a preamp out on the Lab series. I came out of that into the Marshall, and that was the birth of the Stryper guitar tone.
Cool.
Because the Lab series had a little mid-range semi-parametric EQ on it, and that's when I was able to preamp the Marshall and get that mid-boost preamp. And I tell you, man, I started using it. We were playing with bands like Radic, Gazaris, and they'd come up and say, "What are you using?" I'd hide it behind my Marshall stack.
Secret weapon.
Yeah, those were the days when, you know, it was a little more secretive to tone. Now I talk about it, whatever. But I'd hide it and I'd say, "Oh man, it's just modded Marshalls," and they'd say, "No, wait a minute, that sounds crazy," and it sounded so good. But that was the birth of the Stryper tone, was preamping a Marshall or a Boogie. And then eventually I stumbled upon the Furman PQ3.
Mm-hmm.
And I bought one of those at a music store when I was 19 years old and started using Furman PQ3s. And that was really the true birth of the Stryper tone. And, you know, we went on to influence guys. Some people would say, no way, but it's true. Guys like Dimebag, he liked our tone and actually started using Furmans as well. You know, I'm assuming somewhat based on that. So it's pretty cool.
What are you using now to get your guitar tone?
I use right now, I have a signature ISP all-in-one digital box that I use live. It's got a pre-EQ and a post-EQ. And that gets me that Stryper Michael Sweet tone for live, and it's convenient. But in the studio, I use EVH heads, Mesa Boogie heads, and Marshall heads. A Silver Jubilee, a Mark V Mesa, and I've got an EVH 50-watt EL34. Those are my three heads of choice. And I use a Tech 21 Q strip on the front end and a Tech 21 in the effects loop for post EQ as well.
Mm-hmm. That's pretty cool. That sounds great. Does plugging into a different amp or create new ideas for you or come up with new songs?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's inspiring. When you plug into an amp and you hear this magic that it's giving you, whatever it is, like the EVH, first time I got that 50 watt, I plugged into it and I was like, whoa, you know, it's like this kid in a candy store excitement. And I just love the rawness and the power. And it definitely inspired me. I used that when I wrote this album for every song. And it inspired me. It really did.
You know, I talked to Joel and I talked to Nathan for Iconic, which is a tremendous album too that just came out a couple of months back. You don't sound like Stryper on that album, which is great. It sounds like a unique band. How did you change? Was it a conscious effort to change it up and say, you know what, I can't use my tried and true stuff. I have to use something different?
I did. I mean, I still used my gear. I don't want to lie about it. I still use the EVH. And I preamped that with the Tech 21, but I just went for a little less of that mid-range boost. You know, I boost between 700 and 800, so it gives it a real gong kind of you know, tight mid-range sound. I use just a little less of that, but you can still hear it to a degree, like, you know, on the songs, both songs that were released at music videos, Nowhere to Run and gosh, I'm trying to think of the name of the other song, and I feel like an idiot right now. But you can kind of hear, you can hear a little bit of that tone, but I certainly wanted to go for a little less and not make it so obvious, like, oh, that's the Stryper guitar tone. You know what I mean?
I didn't think it was. I thought it was pretty unique onto the, you know, with Joel, and I thought it was a great sound.
Well, good. No, I tell you, I'm always the key to what I do, and I'm sure what Joel does too. He may or may not do this, I don't know, but I always multi-track every rhythm. So I double every single rhythm sound. It's never one rhythm guitar. It's always two rhythm guitars, identical. And that's the key, in my opinion, to creating that wall of sound. And what I do is I change guitars for that to give it a little different sound and spread. You go back to Hell with the Devil, that was 4 rhythm guitars all doing the same thing.
Yeah.
And it created this wall, literally a wall of guitars.
Well, at what point does it get too messy or too thick?
Well, if you're a tight player and you can double yourself well, be it guitar or be it vocally,
Yeah,
it just starts to build up in chorus nicely
yeah,
and thicken up nicely. But obviously, if you're not as tight with the original track, it's going to start sounding messy and mumbled and
yeah.
jumbled. You got to be cautious of
No, I
that,
get it.
and be very precise.
The other thing I loved about Iconic was Nathan took over the lead vocals. Was that really tough for you to give up the reins on that, or was that going in? You said, you know what, I'm not taking on the challenge of it.
Not tough at all, the least bit. Actually, believe it or not, a, a breath of fresh air, but a sigh of relief.
Yeah,
I tell you, man, when you're, and I'm not asking for people to feel sorry for me, but when you're the singer in a band and a guitar player in the band, and you got to play and learn all these solos and parts and notes and remember all the words and go out and deliver vocally and guitar playing wise, and then you deal vocally, your voice is so fickle, it's dependent upon the pollen in the air, uh the food that you eat, the people that you're around,
wow.
smoke in the air, you name it, affects your voice. So after touring, you go out there for a week or two and your voice isn't feeling up to par. That's a lot of stress to take on. So to not have to sing relieves a lot of that stress. And it's like, I could just play, which is kind of nice.
Good for you. I think it came out terrific. It was a great album.
Well, good. I'm glad you like it. That's
Yeah.
I think it turned out great too, man. I love that album, and we were going for the White Snake thing, obviously, but I'm very pleased with how it turned out. And how can it not turn out well when you're playing with guys like Joel and Marco and Tommy and Nathan? I mean, that's the creme de la creme,
It is. Yeah, Nathan was very humbled when I spoke to him. He goes, said the exact same thing. He was honored to be a part of it, and he's still in shock. He was a part of it.
Well, I tell you, man, it's pretty amazing, and obviously everybody knows and would agree. Tommy is a legendary guy. He's been in so many bands and done so many amazing things, and to play with someone like Tommy and make an album with him, it's just kind of a head scratcher. It's like,
Yep.
well, why would he at all want to play with me?
Yeah.
And it doesn't make any sense, but you know what? I'll go with it. It's I'll take it, and that's just amazing. And this band is just a killer band, man.
Yeah.
Everybody's so talented, and I kind of scratch my head and think, like, why am I here? Why am I really needed? I'm not, but I think I was more so there just to kind of maybe help with the foundation and maybe help with the songs and the arrangements and stuff. And I'm blessed to be there. It's awesome.
I asked them both too. I said, I would love to see this band live. I would love to see a tour. It's all scheduling. They all told me it's both scheduling. But now Whitesnake is kind of off the tour now because of David's voice. They dropped out of the Scorpions tour. Maybe there's that opportunity now to squeeze a couple of shows in.
Well, I'll tell you, I certainly don't want to come across as a Debbie Downer, but the tricky part is obviously, Stryper's got stuff going on. We got a new album coming in October.
Right.
And then we're going to do some shows. I know we're going and doing Mexico run, South America run, and then next year a tour for this album. Nathan has Inglorious, and
Yep.
Marco has projects, and I know that Joel has other projects with Trans-Siberian and numerous other things, Rock of Ages and whatnot. Yeah. So I don't know, man. It would be really great to see something happen, but it's still very difficult to make something happen. But I'm sure at some point we'll figure it out.
I get it. Going back to Stryper, one of the things I've always impressed me about Stryper, and is very prevalent on these two songs that I heard on YouTube, was the layered background vocals during the choruses, some of the breaks, or the intro. That's, I think, your Stryper signature sound. It's always been there, and it's always been tremendous, and it's always really enjoyable to hear that power behind it. Would you agree that's like a signature aspect of Stryper?
Absolutely. That's a big part of the Stryper sound. And you know, for years and years, it was always just Oz and I, for the most part, that did that. Early on, Tim was a part of the background vocals, and then eventually it became just Oz and I for albums like To Hell with the Devil and In God We Trust.
Mm-hmm.
And we would just layer and layer and layer. And then Against the Law, we brought in Jeff Scott Soto.
Wow.
Who helped us achieve more of a gritty kind of rawness, which is really great. And then for the more recent albums, from Reborn all the way up to, say, Fallen, and even Goddamn Evil, it was Oz and I pretty much primarily again. And then on these last few albums, even The Devil Believes and The Final Battle, I started sitting out because I started really hearing my voice in the background vocals a little too much. So aside from me singing the lead vocals over the background vocals and adding a double or a harmony here and there, I wanted to stop singing the background vocals just so that they had a little different sound. And that applies to Sweet and Lynch as well. And that applies to Sunbomb.
Right.
You know, the solo albums. So I brought in this guy along with Oz and Perry, who sing great. This guy by the name of Keith Pittman, who is a local drummer who sings like a bird.
Wow.
I mean, like a bird. He goes in and nails it, perfect pitch, and then doubles it and triples it, and it's like boom, boom, boom. You know, one take. He can hit any note you need, way up there, whatever. And he was brought in for the last two albums to help achieve that big spread, since I wasn't singing on those background vocals, because usually I am. But I think it's to answer your question, it's certainly a signature part of the Stryper sound, background vocals. I think the biggest part of the Stryper sound, the thing that you hear immediately before anything else that makes you go, that's Stryper, again, my opinion, is the guitar sound.
I agree. But I think it's also the kicks into with the chorus is a powerful multi-layer.
Yeah, the background vocals, and then Robert's drumming.
Yeah, absolutely.
Robert's got a really unique style of drumming and sound. And I think especially if you're a drummer, you can pick up that's Robert Sweet. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's a very signature sound.
I want to be respectful of your time. I have one more question for you. I was watching the Randy Rhoads documentary on TV last night, and they started off talking about Quiet Riot playing in the Hollywood scene. I instinctively thought of you. Remember, we have got this call today. Yes. Did you ever see Randy Rhoads play? I mean, I know you're a big Van Halen fan. You saw Van Halen play, but I was wondering if you ever saw Randy play.
I did see Randy play, and this is going to shock people, but at the time, I didn't really notice. If that makes sense.
No.
I didn't really notice, my Lord, that guitar player. Who is that? You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Like when I saw Yesterday and Today, I noticed Dave Meniketti and say, my gosh, who is this?
Right.
Just tearing it up. I didn't have that reaction with Randy. Maybe I was preoccupied. Maybe I was more caught up in, the Sold Out show and Kevin running all over the place and other things that were catching my eye and my ears. I don't know. But I did see them with Randy. And after the fact, when Randy went on to join Ozzy, that's when Randy became a huge influence to me. And to this day I cite Eddie Van Halen, Randy Rhoads, Michael Schenker. Those are the three guitar players that made me who I am today as a guitar player in terms of vibrato, style, tone. I'm nowhere near the player, but those are the three guys that created Michael Sweet as a guitar player.
Awesome. Well, Michael, I want to thank you so much for your time. I can't wait for the new album to come out. I'm really excited about it as always. And hopefully catch you on tour when you come back to New York City or New Jersey. So I look forward to that.
Absolutely, buddy, for sure. Can't wait. We will be back always. And you are always your family, so you're always welcome to come and hang out and talk shop. And you just let me know when, and we'll make it happen. And thank you for supporting what we do, man. It means the world. I'm so glad to hear that you're liking what you're hearing so far.
I am. I'm very excited, and I wish you the best. And good luck with your eye. Good luck with your eye too.
Okay, my friend, you stay safe out there in this crazy world, okay?
Thank you, buddy. Have a good day.
See you later.
Heavy metal rock.
Global mind.